You mentioned the threat to democracy a bit when it came to the claims from President Donald Trump. What else did you hear from him last night that you were concerned about?
Well, I mean, he didn't really back away from the using the government to retaliate against his opponents. He also never acknowledged that he would just straight up accept the results of the 2024 election, which I found, it's all this conditional stuff. Whereas everybody else before this, everybody else that ran for president, if you asked them if they would accept the results of the election, they'd say yes and stop talking and look at you quizzically like, what kind of question is that? For Donald Trump, it's a real issue. And unfortunately, he's inspired other people, like the Republican Senate candidate in Arizona, to deny that they lose. If they win, they win. If they lose, it was stolen, as seems to be their mantra. And the January 6th piece, an effort to actually steal the election from President Biden, essentially an attempted coup. It's deeply disturbing too, because he, again, took no responsibility for his role in that and basically acted like the things that they were doing were fine. And that's shocking and pathetic, and I think a real scary position for a potential president, certainly for a former president, to take from the standpoint of respecting the rule of law in American democracy.
Mm-hmm. And beyond that, though, what the topics that we already talked about that are important to you and your constituents, such as the cost of prescription drugs, maybe access to reproductive rights and abortion care, and what about a second Trump presidency scares you about the other issues that we talked about so far?
Well, as you mentioned, abortion was a huge issue that came up last night. I think he was kind of all over the place on that, but I think Trump basically said that I think he's trying to flip-flop on his position, but basically he's previously said that he favored a national ban on abortion. And as President Biden pointed out, if Republicans take control of Congress and pass a national ban, Joe Biden would veto it, Donald Trump would sign it into law. And I think that's a fundamental distinction. We've seen abortion as an issue in states across the country. Everywhere that it comes up on the ballot, the voters support protecting women's rights to make those decisions, trying to move back to where Roe v. Wade was, instead of, there's another state that came out today or yesterday that after 6 weeks, abortion is going to be banned. And of course, many women, are just finding out they're pregnant, much less, figuring out if they have a pregnancy where, for whatever reason, their health might be at stake, or the baby's going to die, or whatever it is. Information that they need to know before they make a decision about whether they should get an abortion or not frequently comes after 6 weeks. And so I think it makes sense to get the politicians out of the exam room and let women make the decisions as to what they should do in their own bedrooms and with their own wombs.